Hello, my name is Emily. I'm the Crazy Flippa Mom. Welcome back to my channel. And I just got back from 2 weeks of traveling. I was at Prosper in Las Vegas. I hosted a women's meetup and it was amazing. So like 40 people registered and 120 women showed up and we had the best time. If you were at Prosper, say hey. I had the best time connecting and meeting with you. And then last week I was at ASD. It is a gigantic vendor show in Las Vegas. And it really services not just wholesale, but private label. Loads of vendors I will share here. Who I saw, what we did. It was a blast. I really love attending these shows, and although I don't go to necessarily place a big order on the spot, I usually walk away with knowledge, talking to vendors, and just understanding the conversation that takes place when you do place an order wholesale. For me, it's usually a huge win. Also, the networking of in-person events, networking is everything in this business, especially in wholesale. When you're going and you're talking to somebody, really building a connection with anybody in the wholesale space can be to your benefit and the benefit of your business. And the same is true in e-commerce, whether it's retail or online arbitrage. Going and meeting people in person and picking their brain, asking questions. I love to network, I love to meet people, and this event was especially a lot of fun. So today we're gonna talk about the disadvantages and the downsides of online and retail arbitrage. Now, I just made a video a couple weeks ago about why I love retail arbitrage, but it's not always just a happy story, and I deal with a lot of issues because I tend to source and sell this way. And so I thought I would share some of the top things that I come across that I really hate doing retail arbitrage. The first thing is when I find a product to sell, I'm usually finding it profitable because there's a shortage, it's a limited edition, seasonal, and so I'm not finding a basic replenishable I can just pick up and resell all year round, and that kind of sucks. So I can usually get 1 to 3 shipments out of each ASIN until we moved on. We're not in Easter anymore. There's no more shortages. It's not limited edition. It's everywhere. Maybe more sellers have jumped on the listing, and I've just had to move on because my price doesn't make it profitable anymore. And that just pulls into not having consistent things that I can buy and having to rotate my catalog fairly often throughout the year. I don't think this is a specific problem to just retail arbitrage sellers. I think everybody is always analyzing their catalog and their listings to make sure each one is profitable. And I find, at least I look at a lot of products on Amazon, some do stay consistent, but if Amazon is not in stock or there's not another big seller on the listing, the price is changing sometimes drastically throughout the year. So even though I think we feel this effect the most because of the products we have available to source right now are changing, I think it's something that everybody in the industry deals with. My next issue is specific to online arbitrage. And I say, what is retail arbitrage? What is online? It's anything but wholesale, right? It's buying from any place that you can buy in any sort of quantity: Walmart, Kohl's, Dollar General, Nike outlet store, on and on and on, right? The issue I have with online arbitrage, so I'm buying in bigger quantities from these well-known stores, is you get the product and it's sometimes, especially if you're ordering from a place like Target and Walmart, it's sometimes / all the time damaged. You place these, I actually don't have as many issues with toys because they are boxed, but any other grocery product tends to come completely demolished. The other issue with online arbitrage is maybe you do find a smaller retail or grocery outlet option online and you place a big order and it gets here and it's too close to expiration or expired. Amazon has very strict policies around expired products, as you can imagine. And that can be a really big struggle because most of these stores, like I shop a lot of online from Menards, and you really don't know until you buy it and you get the product, do you know if you can actually sell it or not? I actually think my worst case is when I bought fruit snacks from Menards. They were a brand and a flavor that were doing really well. And so I started buying up everything I could, and I bought a shipment from Menards, and it came, and they could not fit, I maybe ordered 30. They could not fit all 30 in a box. So what they did was rolled the boxes. They rolled the boxes. The cardboard boxes, they rolled up. I could not, Menards specifically is so bad. What, in the height of selling canning ball products, I placed a big order and they just put my order together and then taped it. It's so bad. It makes me cringe when you see that come in and you're like, oh. I think this is why I love Retail Arbitrage. I can go and pick up the product and I'm buying smaller quantities where I'm going and just rolling up my car and rolling down the window and then throwing it in. And I have a little bit more control over what I'm purchasing, the quantity, expiration dates, and how the product looks. This is my number 3 or 4 thing that I dislike, but it should be number 1. I buy a lot of quantity in store, like Walmart. Sometimes if there's a clearance, I will bring my kids, my husband, and I'll get carts and we'll fill them up. Especially if it's a good clearance. So we're talking 5 to 6 carts. And then like Q4 happens, I will have multiple carts overflowing with product. Just buying that amount in stores kind of sucks. There is never anybody checking out, and the checkout registers around here, they're kind of set aside for older people. And so I have found that checking products out myself, I'm way faster than going to an actual register with somebody working. But now they do not, like a place like Walmart, they used to let you count and then put in the quantity, and they don't do that anymore. So it is scanning one at a time, and then the machines actually have limits. You can only scan like 180 items before you have to check out. Just like a lot of stuff that goes along with purchasing large quantities in a store. I have never ran into an issue where store employees were rude or angry with me for buying so much. Always, they're more than happy, like to get rid of product. But every time I have a large order that I'm trying to get out of Walmart, I always have customers come up and try to talk to me. And can I just get on my soapbox a second? I cannot imagine walking up to somebody's cart, touching things and asking why they're buying it. I cannot. Okay, people have large families. People buy bulk. Why is this like the craziest thing people have seen? I hate it, and I think it's extremely rude to do that. And if I do not have, so like a lot of times I shop with my headphones, and so I'm just like, I'm on the phone, I can't hear you. I hate talking about this though, and I don't feel like I owe anybody an excuse. I have a receipt and I'm not stealing, and so just leave me alone. So that is another big issue of buying large quantities in a store, having to deal with people. Also just getting 2, 3, 4 carts out to your car and loaded. It's just a long process. It's not quick at all. So if I can, I love to place those orders to have delivered to my house or picked up, but man, hate it. Especially, I could just keep going on and on. Especially like if there's raining, a lot of snow, or it's 120 degrees. Hate it. I'm telling you the downside and also wanting to be so positive at the same time. So I'll just stick to the downside. I'm always working. I'm always removing listings that are not good. And unfortunately, sometimes I have ASINs that are good and then I cannot find them anymore. And it's just always an ongoing process. And I think why it's difficult, if you do take a break, you get sick, you want to take the summer off. It is like a continual process you've been building. You've been building this catalog for months and years. And then if you stop for 3 months, 3 months in the e-commerce space is like 9 months. You missed a lot. What is going on? What's selling? Like, you're just not in it. You're not thinking. You're not in the process of buying as much anymore. And it can be difficult if it is all relying on you to survive and continue to take any sort of break. There's a lot of times when products are moving and I have a huge list to ship and I don't feel good. And there is not a lot of other people who can come in and do the job I'm doing. So I have to just get up, make it happen, and get orders out. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. I love working for myself and I love the ability to make as much money as I want. But also, if you do suck at business, you don't have a business background or any education around business, understanding your books and your numbers, it can be a huge learning curve. Even though retail arbitrage is probably the easiest on-ramp to Amazon, there are these basics of business that not understanding, not knowing, which I didn't, I should say, when I got into this, it can be a learning curve. That is why I like retail arbitrage, because you're buying in smaller quantities, and so it's immediately lower risk, and you will make mistakes. No matter if you're online arbitrage, wholesale, whatever you're doing, you should figure for mistakes being made. Receipts. So when I purchase online or retail, I'm obviously getting a receipt, and that is the thing I talk about the most on every social media platform. If you don't have a receipt, you don't have proof, you're going to get yourself in trouble if you ever have an issue with that item. But I am mostly getting receipts from all of these places. Now, pro tip, if you purchase from Walmart or Target, there's a lot of stores now that you have an online account set up, and all of your transactions in store or online are tracked in your online portal. Now, if you are going to try to ungate from Target, that's really nice because you can purchase product and then go into your Target online portal, and they actually have an invoice you can print out and submit to be ungated with. And I really like that because Walmart, it is set up so when I purchase wherever, whenever, it's being tracked in my Walmart account. Now, if you're just getting a receipt printed in the store and you're not doing any online tracking, that can immediately cause some issues because those receipts fade if you're in a hot car. If they're against hot items, they can fade pretty quickly. They fade over time. They can get wet and get damaged. And you really, really, really need those receipts if you have any issues. Inauthentic claims, damaged product claims, IP issues. You have to have proof of every single product you sold on Amazon. Like, say you get hit with an ASIN that's inauthentic, you have to prove a year's worth of selling with receipts to prove that all of that product you posted, listed, and sold on Amazon was authentic. So if you don't have the receipt, it can cause huge issues for yourself. Online portals are freaking everything. I love it. But if you're not purchasing through an online option, or you're outside of Walmart and Target and your transactions are not necessarily being tracked, I recommend scanning your receipts. Scan them in, or there are places online, I'm going to find them, that you can send in boxes of receipts. They will scan them for you, send the receipts back, and then you have them ready. So if you cannot get to scanning them, or maybe you have a large quantity, that option might be good. But at least you should be sorting them, making sure they're safe and sound until you can get them scanned in. Another point in talking about receipts is you a lot of times only have access to receipts. And like I said, if you are placing orders on Walmart and Menards, Target, you can't access invoices. And I have even heard of people getting ungated, like using Nike Outlet and then following up with the business and getting an invoice later. I know you can, and a lot of these stores reach out and ask them for an invoice. But listen, when you're getting ungated on Amazon, you have to have an invoice to get ungated. They typically will not take receipts to get you ungated in any category or any product. Now, you need those receipts to protect yourself, well, for your books, number one. But if you have an issue, a claim, IP, damaged product, you need those receipts to prove authenticity. So they are also very important. Now, will receipts work with Amazon 100% of the time? No, they won't. I have never ran into a problem with receipts. They have always worked, but I hear from other people that in some cases you really need an invoice. And I think that comes when you're dealing with the brand specifically. Like if you're getting brand approval, authorized to be the dealer from the brand, those those invoices would come into play. That's a lot of times why that doesn't affect me. And if a brand does reach out and say, hey, we only want authorized dealers, I just remove my product and move on. Just because you're ungated on Amazon to sell does not mean you have brand approval to sell. It means Amazon just says you can sell this product on our platform, but at any point Amazon can restrict you, a brand can restrict you, and you can get an IP claim. In that case, those receipts don't do a lot to help you protect you or get out of it. A lot of times it's just you saying, I'm not going to sell this product anymore, removing the listing, and then the claim will go away. I did want to throw that out there because invoices and receipts are different. And in different scenarios, you may need one, the other, or both. I say this because it's important, but also invoices don't always work. I have met people who are authorized from the brand to sell a product, and then the brand changes their mind. So, you know, it can be difficult. I will say if you're going to go the wholesale route, it's important that you vet the person you're buying your product from and make sure that just because they have a doctor and they have an invoice doesn't mean they would be approved from Amazon for you to sell their product. I know that was a lot, but that's kind of a little sidebar in hopefully maintaining a healthy seller account. I think that's what it all comes down to for me. I just want a healthy seller account. And so when a brand does reach out and they're like, hey, we don't want you to sell our product anymore, okay, I'll move on. Or a customer reaches out and they're upset. It's like it was delivered damaged, it was delivered late. I want to deal with them quickly and I want them to be happy and move on and leave me alone, because I always say they can do more damage to you than you can do to them. One of the other issues that I have with retail arbitrage is limited quantities. So if I do find a good product, I would buy everything. I would buy hundreds. And most of the time, I'm limited on Walmart to purchasing usually 12 online. That sucks. But even in the stores, there's limited quantities. So that's probably the biggest issue is you find a good seller and you're ready to ramp up and you're like, okay, I got something that's moving. You go to place an order and it's gone, or you can get 10, not even enough to create a shipment. And then you're stuck with like, okay, let's find another source. And that's why I think retail arbitrage is awesome, to test products and then build up to find a better source than Walmart. Find somebody that you can purchase bigger quantities from. But if you are sticking in the retail online arbitrage, you are limited in how much you can actually find. Retail arbitrage is a great sourcing method, and I think it fits best for people who fall into a certain category. If you're new selling in the e-commerce space at all and you don't understand anything, investing in smaller quantities instead of going out and purchasing large pallets can be very beneficial, time saving, and cost effective. I think for most people it's a good way to learn and understand the game until you're ready to scale up. And a lot of times it means waiting until you have the funds available to scale up. And that's the next reason why RAOA can be really a great option for people, is you do not have an endless budget, or your budget is a little bit smaller, or you're starting from almost nothing. Saving your money for items that you can make a decent return on and scaling slow and steady, it still counts. This still counts. Somebody like myself, I got into e-commerce without any e-commerce background outside of Poshmark and eBay. So that was helpful. Understanding basic shipping and how to ship was good. But there's a lot of people like myself who didn't understand how to keep track of books and scale, like the quantity and the mass and the money I was dealing with went from 0 to 100,000 really quickly. And if you have some sort of education, this is where it can be helpful. But for a lot of people, that can spell trouble because you don't have the proper business set up, or you haven't been saving money for taxes, or you get yourself into a situation where you're buying product that's not profitable because you don't understand all of the fees that are being taken out of. Like, it can just spell trouble when you're not paying attention, or you're even aware of some of the fine print with e-commerce selling. And that also plays into refunds, returns, issues, getting expired product, dealing with damaged claims, On and on and on and on. So I love retail and online arbitrage because it takes this really big topic and it puts it down to a size that I can easily plug into and start scaling on my budget and my time frame. This is also why I never compare myself to anybody online. I am not trying to scale like anybody I see online. Kudos to them, and a lot of these sellers I am in awe of and they're inspirational to me, but everybody has their own budget and their own time frame, and there's a million other little factors that go into being able to scale quickly that if you're jumping into this, you found out about it last month and you're jumping into it now, it would be a hard adjustment to make. I tried not to spend any time comparing my business to any other sellers online. It is such a waste of time. And you probably are coming into this with your own list of hurdles and issues, and maybe you don't have credit, maybe you don't have good cash flow, maybe you have kids in 100 activities, and maybe you're a stay-at-home mom, maybe you have chronic health issues, maybe you don't have good transportation, on and on and on. I can tell you so many reasons why comparing your business to anybody else's is such a fantastic waste of time. Just stop. And you and I know that you do not have that amount of time to just be spending fantasizing and comparing yourself to anybody else. So focus on what you need to do right now to scale your business, to start your business, and to make it successful, healthy, and consistent. Retail arbitrage, online arbitrage is not for everybody. And I would say if you want to get into this and you do want bigger quantities, you understand how Amazon and Walmart works, and you're not interested with necessarily starting from zero, I would say that is where you skip all of this and find a good wholesale supplier. This seems like there are wholesale suppliers everywhere these days. You go to vendor shows, you make that connection, and you just leap over this hurdle and go straight into the deep end. I hope this quick little video gives you a bigger picture at what retail arbitrage is and can be, and some of the hurdles I face in my business. I have been focusing on this style of selling for 4 years. So I'm well acquainted with all of the issues that comes into play here when dealing from trying to find bigger quantities to dealing with customers and claims. I get it, I understand, and I am always trying to refine my process and make it better. And I appreciate when other people are willing to connect and share their highs and lows, and we can learn from each other, which is why I love in-person networking events and my community. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you have the best day ever. Sending you bye.